All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to History 102 Online. This is U.S. history since 1877. You're taking it online. I am your teacher, Grace Wade Moser, and this introductory PowerPoint is just to walk you through some of the basics of our class and give you an overview of what we're going to be covering this semester. So I'll start by introducing myself. You guys can call me Professor Grace Moser or Professor Moser. You can call me Grace if you're more comfortable with that. But I do ask that you address me by my name and learn my name, and address me in all your emails as Professor Moser or Grace. Here are some pictures that I thought represented me. I'm kind of goofy. The top picture is one of my Halloween costumes. I dressed up as Babe Lincoln. It was one of my favorites. And then the picture right below that is actually me presenting at the Organization for American Historians annual meeting in 2015. I was very proud of myself. I submitted a presentation and it was accepted, and I got to give a speech there, so it was fun. This is me and my husband, so you can get to know my family a little bit. We were married in September of 2009. We've been married, what is that, 7 years? I can't do math. That's a more recent picture in the bottom left-hand corner. That's me at my brother's wedding in 2014. We have a furry family. I have 3 cats and a dog, who I'm pretty crazy about. So these are my fur kids, my fur babies. There's Bart, Penny, and Jack are my 3 cats. They're named after a pirate. That's Black Bart because he's blind in one eye. Penny, who's named after a Beatles song, Penny Lane. And Jack is actually named after U.S. President Jack Kennedy, so that's kind of fun. Chica doesn't have as fun of a creative name because we adopted her when she was 6, so we didn't want to change the name that she gave us. But she's starting to be an old lady. In 2015, Jeff and I experienced a big change. We gave birth to twin baby boys. So these are my babes, Abe and Ollie. And I just thought these pictures were pretty cute. But that was a major life change for us, and it is kind of hard to juggle parenting and teaching. So as a result of these babes, occasionally it'll take me longer to get assignments back to you. Just please be patient, and I will get them returned to you as quickly as possible. I understand grades are really important to students, and it's important to know where you're at in the class. So I will do my best. And I know a lot of you have families and jobs and are busy throughout the semester as well. So we will be gracious with each other, and this will be a good semester. When you guys get a chance, I'd like you to check out my profile on Canvas. This entire course is going to be operating on Canvas because it is online. And I would like you guys to create a profile for yourself. In fact, that's one of our assignments for the first week for our orientation. This is going to be my way of getting to know you. So background information on yourself, a picture if you feel up to it. Just you can choose a generic image if you don't want anybody to have a picture of you. I understand privacy. So take the time to check out my bio and create one for yourself. So some background information about me. I'm a product of a community college myself. I started at St. Louis Community College at Flo Valley. From 2001 really to January of 2004, I transferred to UMSL. I did not plan on majoring in history or becoming a history teacher, but I had a really awesome professor who was even more of a history dork than me. He would actually dress up in costume and deliver lecture in character. But he made history very fun for me and gave me my first good job at the college where I was a tutor in his history courses, and that exposed me to teaching college history. Still, even when I transferred to UMSL, my major was psychology. I was not interested in history. I didn't really become a history major until I was a senior in college, and I decided to change my major to history because I could take any class, didn't matter who the teacher was, and I still loved the subject and I was passionate about it. So I decided I wanted to teach history at a college level, specifically a community college. I really liked the impact that I could have there, and my time at my community college was so influential. I really wanted to have that effect on students as well. So I applied and was accepted to the master's program at UMSL, and I was there from 2006 to 2008. The summer of 2009, I started teaching at Flow Valley. And then in fall of 2010, I was hired part-time at St. Charles Community College, and then hired full-time in the fall of 2012. And I've been here ever since. So why history? Why are you required to learn this? Why is it a Missouri State requirement? It wasn't my original plan to major in history, but I really do love it. And I hope that you having the experience with a college history course might make some of you guys, even who don't like history, to kind of start to like the subject enough, or at least appreciate and respect it. So a lot of times people don't like learning history because of the experience they've had with teachers, or it seems meaningless. Why are we learning about the past when we have all these problems in the future? So if you understand the past and its impact on the present, you can use this knowledge to shape the future, and that's really why I'm passionate about history. History is the study of change over time, and many of these important changes were brokered by everyday ordinary people. Yeah, you have the Martin Luthers and the Rosa Parks and all the individual people that made history, but there's thousands of people behind them that really made those changes possible. And I think that is incredibly encouraging, and I choose to be an optimist, and therefore I really like it. So ordinary people impacted these historical shifts. We can too. So many of you have never had a college history course. Your only experience with history has maybe been in a high school history course. But there are some major differences between the way high school history is taught and college history is taught. If you don't like history classes, a lot of times it's because of high school history curriculums. So the thing about high school history is they just ask you to memorize a lot of names and dates. That's one of the biggest complaints that I get when people say they don't like history. A lot of times your teachers would just give you packs of fill-in-the-blank notes, and you just had to memorize them and spew back that information on the test. I had those kind of history classes when I was in high school, and I can't remember one thing that I learned from them. And that's because rote memorization, just basic spewing back that information, that doesn't make a lasting connection in our brain, right? So it doesn't create long-term memory, which means that we don't process that information and remember it 20 years from now. Another problem with high school history is that the curriculum is often dictated by a school board, right? So in the case of Texas, for example, they're having an issue where their history classes have included blatant myths because the people deciding what goes in the textbook are dentists, lawyers, or ordinary parents, and nothing against those type of people, but they're not trained or classically trained in history. Another problem with high school history is that it's taught to be boring, right? It's just one person standing up there droning, and because they don't really explain the connections, it feels meaningless. In contrast, college history is taught a little bit differently, right? So in our class, we're going to be studying historical events, but we're going to be connecting them to current concerns and issues. So it's not going to be something that we're just learning about in the past. You're going to see and make the connection to how it led to the present. And that connection is going to make it a more meaningful experience, and hopefully something that really sticks with you. As far as curriculum goes, in college we have something that's called academic freedom, and we choose our own curriculum. What academic freedom allows us to do is discuss controversial topics without fear of losing our jobs. So we're going to be discussing some pretty controversial issues, especially in relation to race, gender, and we're going to be expressing a lot of ideas in this class. And this is going to be a safe place for you to express those ideas. But we're going to make sure not to work with stereotypes. The arguments that we're going to be making are going to be based on historical fact, and it's got to have a logic behind it. It's not just an opinion. And then in college history courses too, it's not just going to be me telling you things. You're going to actually be doing history. So you're going to learn how to apply historical techniques. You're going to be interpreting the data, right? And you guys are going to be doing the work. Instead of just having somebody talk at you, you guys are going to be experiencing and processing history. And hopefully this will be a more meaningful process and more interesting for you. All right, so our focus in the class, we're going to be working with all semester analyzing and writing history. This is a survey level course, a freshman, sophomore level course, so I'm not expecting graduate level assignments. And we're going to be improving this as we go along the way. But I have a variety of projects all throughout this class that you're going to be doing where you're going to be learning on this. I'm going to give you feedback on every single assignment so that you can shape this and get better at it as we go along. So we're going to do what are called participation assignments. You don't get credit just for participating in these. These are just proof that you are participating in the class. So these are going to be short activities that you're going to do after in every unit where it's going to be applying the material that you learned in that particular section of the class. We're also going to participate in discussions. And we're going to be talking about issues with each other, with other students in the course. You're going to be engaging with each other and debating different sides of different points of view. Now, it's not always going to be your opinion. It's going to be based on historical fact and what the arguments and what the data actually supports. And then finally, I have a final project for you. It's what I have in place of a comprehensive final exam. And this is going to be a self-analysis paper, right, to evaluate what you learned in the class and how you changed and what made the most sense to you and what became meaningful to you. So essentially, you're going to be writing smaller pieces of history as you complete these assignments and using the same skills and techniques that actual historians use in the class. Okay, so we're going to be in an online class, which means we're not going to see each other face to face. We're not going to be able to talk to each other in a classroom. So this is going to be a different experience from what you get in an on-campus class. And as a result of that, your level of participation is going to be really, really important. It's going to require something that's called active learning. So instead of just having me lecture at you and we talk back and forth, right, you're going to be the one processing this information even more than my on-campus classes do. So you're actually going to be reading more primary sources, which we're going to talk about in a second, but more history from the time period. You're going to be analyzing them and interpreting them. So you are a part of the process. And if you ever have any questions along the way, don't hesitate to send me an email. Don't hesitate to contact me during my office hours. I would love to meet with you, especially with my online classes. It's really great to be able to meet you guys and get to know you in person. So how is history written? History is written from a combination of research based on primary and secondary sources. And what that means is that primary sources are documents from the time period of which you are studying. So for example, we have one of our required textbooks is a book called Reading the American Past, Volume 2 from 1865. This is what's called a document reader. It's a collection of historical documents that have been taken from the time periods that we're studying and organized around time periods and chapters from our textbook. So, for example, if we were studying the American Revolution, a primary source that would help us understand that would be the Declaration of Independence, because it was actually written in 1776. So, for example, when we talk about the Civil Rights Movement, you're going to read Letters from a Birmingham Jail by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., right, to get his perspective about the civil rights movement at that particular point in time. So we're going to be working extensively with primary sources. So you're going to be practicing what historians read and writing about it to really participate in the action of writing history. In addition to that, historians also use secondary sources. Now, secondary is secondhand information, so we're using the research that previous historians have done. An example of that is our textbook. So this is a picture of our textbook. It's The American Promise, A Concise History, Volume 2 from 1865, 5th edition. It's really important that you use this textbook. Normally, teachers can be a little bit flexible about older editions or different versions of this, but this class doesn't go chapter by chapter. I assign page numbers out of this textbook. So if you don't have this particular textbook, you're going to be a little bit lost in the class because sometimes I'll only assign specific sections of chapters in the way that I've created this class. But historians don't discount what other historians have done, right? We build off of it. So we're going to be reading a combination of primary and secondary sources. Secondary sources for context to be able to interpret the primary sources accurately. So what can you expect in this class, right? You can expect to use Canvas every day, right? I'm going to post important announcements throughout the week, right? Some online students think that they can log in only on the weekends because they work during the week. You need to make a conscious effort to keep track of the due dates that are in this class, because not all of them are going to be after the weekend, right? So if you log into Canvas and at least check what's going on in the upcoming week, then you will keep up with assignments and be up to date. You're going to need a reliable high-speed internet connection. If you don't have that at home, there is free computer access available on campus, but don't forget places like the local libraries. A lot of them let you use internet there for as well. You're going to need to use regular use of your Canvas email for communication, and again, those regular logons throughout the week. The way the course is organized is into several thematic units and exams. There's one unit per week, and not every week has an exam, right? So you need to keep track in the course schedule of all the exams and make sure that you don't miss any of them, because they're only open for 72 hours, right? And they're timed. And when that time window of 72 hours is over, they're closed and there's no makeup exams in this course, right? I do provide study guides in every unit to help you prepare for the exams, right? So I strongly recommend you pay attention to those and use them in your preparation as you work through the week's work. In addition to this, we're going to have online graded discussions and all of those participation weekly activities. The due dates will be noted in the unit overview and directions at the beginning of every unit. They're also noted in the course schedule and your syllabus, and I programmed all the due dates into the course. Okay, so you can expect and you should set aside between 6 to 9 hours per week for the work that is in this class, right? So where did I get that number from? Okay, so if you were taking this class on campus, you would be in class 3 hours a week, right? So there's that. It's also the expectation that in college that for every 1 credit hour you're in class, you're spending an additional 2 hours outside of class working. So for a traditional on-campus class, 3 credit hours times 2 equals 6. When we add 3 and 6 together, we get 9 hours per week, right? So some students get through this with less time, some students need more time, right? So you need to plan your week accordingly. The biggest thing that trips up online students is that they don't plan adequate time to work through their classes. So you guys have to be incredibly disciplined to be able to work through this and get your assignments done on time. Our class operates on a Monday to Monday weekly schedule. So that means that our classes opened up August 22nd and they will close the following Monday. But there's a little bit of overlap, right? So at the same time that one unit is shutting down on Monday, the next unit is opening up, right? So unit 1 will close on, the introduction unit will close on Monday, but unit 1 will also open up on Monday. So you will usually have 1 week to complete your assignments, right? Another thing that you need to note is that graded discussions and exams open and close on different days than Monday, right? So for example, graded discussions, you usually have to put your first post up by the Thursday of that week, and then the second post is due by Monday. Exams will open on a Friday and close on a Monday always. So just make sure that you pay attention to those different due dates within the course schedule so that they don't throw you off. So use that schedule and create a personal calendar for yourself so that you never miss those due dates. One of the most important things that you need to do in this class is to pay attention to the modules and pay attention to each unit overview and direction for each week. Right, this is where I'm going to put the reading assignments. This is where I'm going to have a checklist of things that you need to complete through the units. If you don't pay attention to the unit overview and directions, you're not going to know what's needed in the class. So the second step after opening up the unit overview and directions is to begin working through the study guides, taking notes over the PowerPoints, over the videos, over the reading assignments, right? And then once you've completed that, you can start to do your participation activities and take your exam if it happens to be an exam week. So I can't stress that enough. Read the unit overview and directions. So where can you find your due dates? There are 5 locations throughout the class. So in the introduction unit, you'll see the course schedule. This is just a freestanding schedule that I put there in case you want to print it out and have a copy of it. There is also a schedule that was created in Canvas that where I program due dates into the calendar. So it'll show you when you log into the Canvas page. It'll also show you within the course or under the syllabus. I also have a course schedule in the syllabus. So there are so many places you can get these due dates. They're also included in the week's unit overview and directions. So there's so many different ways. Guys, there's no excuses for not remembering a due date. Remember that I don't open up this material and make it available to you again. So stay on top of those due dates. The best way to communicate with me in this class is to use the Canvas mail. If you've done the Student Canvas Orientation course, right, you'll learn how to do this. If you haven't, the easiest way is to go to your messages or your inbox and go to New Message and select me from your class, right? So there's this is the best way to reach me. You can call me, but it usually takes me a while to call students back. You can email me to my gmoser@stchaz.edu email address, but sometimes student emails end up in my spam folder for whatever reason. So the safest way is to send me a message through Canvas mail. So things to look for, make sure you pay attention to the unit overview and directions. That has all your instructions for the week. Pay attention to the course schedule. It has all the due dates for the semester. Read the syllabus. It has really important course information. Half the time when students ask me a question, the answer is in the syllabus, right? So you guys will have a syllabus quiz. It's actually an introduction quiz, but some of the answers can be found in the syllabus. So make sure you read that and pay attention to it because that is really going to explain how everything works. So if you have any questions, please send me an email or come by my office. I look forward to having a great semester with you, and I can't wait to get to know you better.